You know what we blame if that happens again, V?
Mm-hmm.
COVID.
Oh yeah, every
Right?
time.
That's what
That's
you gotta
because
do.
COVID. COVID was the one. It's
COVID infected my Wi-Fi.
has nothing to do with the. No, I'm
Reinhardt, real quick before we get into the thing, V, I do want to say, Reinhardt, we're live, so please do not do not kickstart the show like Jack did a couple weeks ago with
Nope.
with some N bombs or anything. I feel like I have to warn our guests, like, hey man, don't do that. And everybody in the chat, let us know if you can hear V and our special guest in the chat.
Yeah, just like barrage, like machine gun. It was like a machine gun of N words.
Yeah, you guys should check out a guy named Larry Ridgway and his podcast Love Street if you want to hear a barrage, because that's even worse, I guarantee you. But no, I have a bit more self-control than that. I'm looking forward to a not a normal conversation, but a a fun one that's relatively clean.
Yeah, we as far as cleanliness goes, you know, we like to do the one wipe at least. All right, anything beyond that is excessive. Anything less than that is unacceptable. So that's the level of cleanliness we operate on this program. V, speaking of wiping your ass and what is acceptable and unacceptable, what happened? What did you get into this week?
Oh, well, you know, as you know, I'm doing my intermittent fasting.
Oh, what's that? What is that?
You're aware, but I'm doing this fasting thing. So I actually today, here's something interesting. Today I was doing my walk, so, you know, I get out there and I get it, right? Like I do my shuffle, like I move pretty quick, right? But I'm noticing something this, like, recently. I'm noticing that people are really kind of like friendly in my neighborhood. Now, I don't know if that's because, like, my countenance, you know, the countenance of your face is the word for today, countenance, because my face is like, it must be like, okay. And then I read this study that says that you become more attractive the healthier. It's actually not based on how much you weigh. It's actually how healthy you look. Apparently, they did this study where people, like, looked at pictures of people and, like, with no, like, smiling or anything, they just had, like, kind of what you call, like, the default face, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said that, like, it wasn't based on people that had, like, skinny faces or, like, certain, like, bone structure. It was who looked more healthy is what it turned out. And so because, like, all these things, these factors, right? Like, I quit smoking, I'm drinking, like, a buttload of water, and I'm exercising and I'm losing weight. People are, like, noticing me, I guess. And so, like, I'm walking around, you know, doing my walk in the neighborhood, and people are like, good morning. And, like, you know, I do live in kind of like a better neighborhood, so it's not like you look down when you walk by people. You know, you're not going, oh, I don't want to talk to this person. They're probably going to rob me or some shit. So people are greeting me, right? And, like, today, like, I'm noticing, like, all these women, like, kind of, like, smiley and, like, oh, hey. And I'm like, good morning. You know, I do good morning.
You gotta puff out your chest.
I can hear your eyebrows moving when you say that.
right. And so I'm like, man, this is pretty cool, you know, like, I got to get that Screaming for Vengeance shirt, you know, and score big time. So there's that. So that's happening with my fasting. I kind of noticed that. And then today I actually didn't get all out of my walk because I've been I'm taking supplements now, it's called Isoburn on top of, like, my intermittent fasting.
That's what it sounds like, a laxative.
Well, it is. Well, I don't know that it is, but it had that effect because today I started doing my walk, right? And I get out there and I'm about an hour into it. And, like, I realized, like, it's time to do the number 2, you know what I mean? So I, like, start kind of hustling a little bit. And the thing is I couldn't, like, run because you already know that, like, my shorts have that thing where, like, you know, my shorts, they don't really fit anymore. So if I start running, they're going to fall off. My shorts are going to be at my ankles. And, as you know, I don't wear underwear. So that's a huge problem. So then on top of that, I'm, like, clenching.
I would say it's a huge problem, V.
Well, yeah, no, it's a minor.
it's an average size problem at best.
Yeah. Not so well in depth. So I have clenching, right? And it's probably like a good mile that I've got to, like, waddle and clench because one wrong move and, like, it's disaster for my non-underwearing my non-underwear wearing ass You know, like essentially I'm going to shit my pants, right? So I've got to hustle all the way back home. And then I get home and it's like literally like I almost missed the toilet, dude. I sat down. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like
how terrible would it be for you to like you go that whole distance and then right when you make it to the John, you miss the John? Like what are the odds of that and how terrible? How much worse is that?
You know what? Have you ever noticed that like when you really have to go to the bathroom, like right when you're in front of the toilet, it seems like you're getting off your belt and it seems like you can't get your belt off fast enough. And it's like, oh my gosh, like it's like that movie scene when you're trying to like put the key in the door hole and like the bad guy's coming for you and you can't get in the door fast enough, but you're actually just trying to take off your pants so you can drop a number 2.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if that has something to do with the mental just your how you respond mentally to that, because you know, you don't have like if you eat normally at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, your body starts to let you know that it's hungry right around those times, but you're not really. If you just pass it, it's
right.
It's whatever. Your body doesn't care. For 3 weeks, your body can go without.
When somebody starts turning on the water, and then all of a sudden you got to go pee or whatever like that. Maybe
what sudden?
Yeah, and a lot of the time, when you're hungry, you're actually just thirsty. You're thirsty and you need some electrolytes. Throw a little bit of salt in your water, not enough to taste it, but that can help kind of satiate you a little bit, especially if you're fasting and you're drinking coffee.
I don't drink coffee at all. I actually all I drink is water. But yeah, that's good information though. We got Bill Nye over here, man.
Hold on. He's way cooler than Bill Nye. Bill Nye, like I know for a fact Reinhardt has never taken money to push a false scientific agenda. So
what did we call him? Bill Nye, the actually I don't have a degree. Oh. Yes, actually I don't have a degree guy. The Bachelor of Arts.
I was going to say I'm more educated than Bill Nye, which is like there's something to be said about that. Most people I know, in fact, are more educated than Bill Nye, but Bill Nye, he's just a face that was on TV, so people trust it, and that's fucked up. I mean,
he has an honorary degree at best.
Yeah, well, he actually has a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and then that's it, the end. The rest of them are honorary and just given out by whoever. So that's what's funny to me is they'll say, oh, Trump has a doctorate and whatever, but it's an honorary degree. Oh, well, Bill Nye has a doctorate in physics or whatever from such and such, and it's a totally legitimate degree. No, it just means that he showed up at, to accept an award. I mean, that's really all it is. But anyways, yeah, let's, V, I know you were trying to introduce Reinhardt just now. You were trying to be the polite one of the group.
Yeah.
Today we actually have a guest on the show, Reinhardt. That's all we're going to tell you because he likes to remain anonymous on the internet, and I totally respect that, which is why you have this really, if I'm not mistaken, this is a drawing by Dogbot, right?
Actually is, yeah. So I needed something new. I was picking a couple of photoshops that I had found years ago on Reddit, and I was like, I can't use this anymore. As much as I love my Feels Bad Cadriano avatar, I had to get something new. So Dogbot graciously drew me something up, and it's awesome. I love it. For those of you who don't know, Dogbot is one of my co-hosts on the Paranormies. You can check out the show if you'd like. It's definitely not as clean as this show, but we have a lot of fun. Got a lot of fun. Talks about conspiracies and spooky stuff. And we're coming up on like the ultimate spooky season, so we've got some really cool stuff coming. 9/11 on Friday, we actually have a show that we're recording.
I love how we're coming up on spooky season. September 11th is coming up.
Hey man, that's the spookiest of all. But dude, I am very grateful that you guys asked me to come on the show. I'm really excited. This is awesome. Love listening to you guys. So it's really cool to be here with you both.
Wow. I'm flattered.
Certainly appreciate that. I was going to say, well, first I was going to correct you and say, when you said it's not as clean as this show, I'm like, well, have you not listened? But then I remembered like some of the conversations that you guys have had, and I'm like, yeah, we're definitely a little bit cleaner in certain regards.
I wouldn't say clean. Say tame. Maybe tame is like a better word.
Yeah, that's a good word.
I'd say tame, because one of our last episodes, if you just go and listen to it, you'll find some of the more untamable stuff. Thank you, Jack the intern, for that.
Yeah.
No, we have fun though. It's a good time. But again, thank you guys for allowing me to come on. This is gonna be a great time.
Yeah, of course. You're I know some people will recognize why you're here specifically, like what the topic of discussion is probably going to be based on the fact that we brought you specifically. But let me start off by saying welcome to the chat, Kyle, VS, Mike, Jay Cooper, Justin Walker, our regular gang. Hopefully I know there's a couple other people who haven't said anything in the chat. If you're there, let us know, and we'll say hi to you, because I know that's important in what is it, like streaming etiquette? You have to say everybody's name, right? That's the rule.
Yeah, and then shill your gear, right?
Yeah, we do that too.
Gotta shill, man.
Do you have any gear that you want to show before you start talking, Reinhardt?
Well,
I love that term is like a coin now. Like, shill your stuff, bro. Yakov and his shill. You want to shill your stuff?
I'll show Yakov stuff. Skinwalker tapes. They're some of our good friends, mutuals. That's one of the ways that I actually met you. Was through them. But Paranormies, we are working on shirts. We've got at least 2 designs down that are already like drawn up and they're ready to go. And Dogbot is actually working on 1 or 2 more for us. So we've already got somebody lined up, and hopefully we'll have stuff coming in the near future. Because I'm super excited. I love the shirt designs we've got. I'll wear them all day long. I'll send you guys a link once we got stuff available.
T-shirt nationalism, as Yakov calls it. Reinhardt. We're not even there yet. We got all sorts of time. 19 minutes. V.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
What else did you have other than pooping?
I was kind of like phoning it in this week. I was kind of hoping that you'd have something that I could just kind of, I said, well, you do stuff, and then I'll just add quips, like quips.
Yeah. And that's, and we love you for it, because when we get to when we have these guests on or whatever, and then you kind of like voluntarily move to the back seat or whatever, and then you're just constantly like leaning up into the up into the middle of the 2 seats or whatever, and you're like, also, did you guys know that, and then you'll say something funny.
You like to see homos naked?
Yeah, like that too. Well, you were like the main guy on that episode, right? When was that? Was that?
That was the Jack episode, wasn't it? Where probably.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I think it was the Lily, the big boob AT&T girl episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Ooh, AT&T nationalism.
What? Everything is nationalism with you guys, with you people. Hey, Reinhardt, what did you do this week that you can talk about on the air?
I have had a good week. I got moved to a normal schedule at work, 8 to 4 schedule. Every day for the next 6 months or so at least. So I get to spend more time with my son and my wife. We get to go out and explore a new city we're living in, new area, and gives me more time to kind of the area I'm around is very heavily forested and mountainous. So it gives me a little time to plan out maybe some Bigfoot trips. But no, life has gotten more stable this week, and I'm happy about that. It's been good.
Good. V, are you back on the call? I think we lost V. Anyways, are you there?
There he is.
Did you make it back?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know why, but the damn thing is it keeps saying poor connection, so it dropped, and then I figured I'll just join the call again. So if that happens again, you can blame J-Rab.
COVID. No, it's
you could blame COVID or J-Rab.
Are we blaming J-Rab?
It's my default. J-Rap demon. Because he goes, for a demon, and then you're like, that's not me. That's not my name. Because why would you?
I like to use him now. He's become a real thing. So as Dave Outlandish would tell us, he has become a very real thing. You know what? I have a question to ask you guys, and this will be my contribution to the trio log today.
All right.
I had this discussion with my wife not too long ago, and my kids make fun of me for it. Is it gay to enjoy the music of Lady Gaga? Discuss.
Yes.
I don't know. I never really listened to her music. Is she the one that goes, I don't want to go? What's the one from the interview? That song's pretty good.
No, that's Katy Perry. You're thinking, which is it gay to like Katy Perry? That's another question that keeps me up at night.
Really, the overall question here, and if I don't know if you guys have listened to the last couple episodes that Dogbot's taken the lead on, but
I know Lady
really
Gaga's a guy.
Exactly. That's the thing. Is it really gay to enjoy the music of a man pretending to be a woman who is throwing satanic imagery into all of their, their music videos and costumes and everything? So I would say yes, not only gay, but satanic.
Isn't it actually John Benet Ramsey?
No, you're thinking of Katy Perry again.
Oh yeah, that's
Stop referring to Katy Perry.
Well, no, okay. To answer your question, I mean, yeah, it's gay. Yeah, it is. But also, here's something that I'll admit to, and I'll come clean too, since you came out of the closet about your Lady Gaga fetish. I'm actually kind of a fan of some of Justin Timberlake's music. I even refer to him as JT when I talk about.
Oh man,
you know what won me over with Jonathan Taylor Timberlake? He was in that movie Alpha Dog with
oh yeah, it's a good one. Yeah,
Amelia Hirsch, right? I'm just gonna keep saying the wrong names.
In time, Horatio Haberdasher.
Emil Hirsch, right? I think is his real name. But no, he was really good in that movie. I thought.
In Time with Olivia Wilde. Did you see that one? I think it's Olivia Wilde.
I did see that.
Whoever his co-star is, she's super hot. That was a good one, right? That was good.
That was good, but I prefer Cillian Murphy in that movie. But I love Peaky Blinders.
Oh yeah, Cillian Murphy.
Scarecrow.
Yeah, good eye.
He's a good actor. There are a few actors I'll keep up with. I'm not like Dogbot, where I think that every male is a female and every female is a male. But no,
what gives with that? Here's your chance. Here's your chance to talk bad about Dogbot because he doesn't watch the show.
I won't.
No, I know. He's a funny guy. And he's a smart guy too. I'll give him that. He's like the guy when I go up against him, I sit down because I know I'm not going to win that argument.
He's a great arguer, and to be fair to him, like he doesn't say every single one is the opposite, and I don't either. I think most of the ones at the very, very top probably are, because the ones at the very, very top are the ones with the most knowledge and are taking part in rituals, that kind of thing. You don't get that famous if you're not on the top of things. Same thing if you get into a high political office. You don't get there without being chosen for it. So that's my whole take on it.
So at the end of the day, I told my wife this. I said anybody who any man who loudly and in public admits that they like Lady Gaga, and not in I respect her music, or I enjoy a few of her songs, but anyone who comes out and says, oh man, Lady Gaga is just so good, is gay. And that's kind of like I hit that point. I hit the crossroads in my life where I was like, man, her music is good. And here's why. Hold on. It wasn't just out of nowhere. I listened to it was Bad
You
Romance.
weren't like a dude, and then you just like came out and said it after you sucked him off.
No, I wasn't like, oh, I love Lady Gaga. Well, I would swallow, right, if I was gay. It's not gay to not swallow. If you spit it out, it's not gay. That's the rule, all right? We Lady Gaga fans know that and respect the rule. I was listening to Bad Romance, but it was like an old Bard version of it. And I was like, this is pretty cool. And I'm like, let me listen to the original. Because I was like, I feel like I'd enjoy her music when I've heard it. Like, never vocally. I never would have admitted it. And I listened to It Was Bad Romance, and I was like, man, that's an alright song. It's pretty good. And then it does that autoplay where it kicks up the next song, and it's got that algorithm down where it can, like, it just brings up another Lady Gaga song or whatever. And so I just listened to them all. Like, there were like 5 or 6 of them in a row. I'm like, dang, she is pretty good. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, is it gay to like Lady Gaga's music? And so I brought it to the table for you guys to either talk me off the ledge or be like, hey, it's all right.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna speculate something about Lady Gaga that I just kind of realized as we were talking about her. Like, why is it that like she has to affirm that she's a lady by putting "lady" in her name?
You know what? And that's an
she doesn't look like a lady normally.
She definitely looks like a dude. And here
she looks like a drag queen.
Worse, all right? Here's where it gets worse. Is she like there was for a long time there was speculation that she had a penis. And even in one of her music
I remember
videos,
hearing that she had both, that she was a hermaphrodite. I remember hearing that.
Well, there was a music video that she did, and it popped up. This is what I'm talking about. This is like these. It was the one with Beyonce. I don't remember what it's called. But
was it Poker Face? Right, Poker Face.
No, it wasn't that one. It was the phone one, the telephone one.
Is that even her?
That's her. That's Katy Perry. That's Katy Perry. V. Gosh dang it. No, it was the phone
really
one.
Throwing darts in the dark.
But at the beginning, in the beginning of the video, the jailer brings her into the cell or whatever, and they throw her down, and then the jailer says, "Well, that's disappointing. She doesn't even have a penis," and then walks away. And I'm like, the fact that she had to introduce that makes me think that she probably does have a penis. It further solidifies that that belief that she has a penis. So is it gay to want to see Lady Gaga's penis? That's the question now. V, go ahead.
No, because you want to know the truth. Right? That's a truth seeker thing. It's not like you want to see it so that you can blow it or something. You just want to see it so you know for sure.
Let me reword the question. Is it gay to want to see Lady Gaga's penis because you want to blow it? Is that gay?
Oh, yeah.
That is fully gay. But I will quote Dogbot here. And I'll just say...
That is fully gay.
I will quote Dogbot here and just say, you don't have to see that. You can just say, show me your hands. Just post hands, Lady Gaga.
He does that. I accidentally misgendered Dogbot there. He does that. He asked for hand pics, but he made a believer out of me, because at first I was like, come on, like, this is a bit, But then he started
posting
a
lot out there.
Yeah, he started posting these weird pictures where, like, now I'm kind of starting to... I'm a little convinced that there's some truth behind his... what is it called? Not transgender. There's like another.
There's the Transpocalypse YouTube account, which is where we got a lot of our information from. The Trans Files. They do their Transinvestigations. And Dogbot goes for the hands. I go for the hip to waist ratio. I feel like that's one of the biggest things.
It seems like a little, like we say, put on the tinfoil hat. It seems like a little paranoid to constantly think that everybody. It seems like, and this again is just my speculation or hypotheses, is that somebody might have had a run-in with something that they thought was a woman, and then it ended up being a man, and so now they're like out to like. Prove.
Well, I'll say this: it gets deeper than that. It gets into like humiliation magic and the inversion, as above, so below. It gets into some really weird, esoteric androgyny, gender swapping. Which, funny enough, there is a connection with the subject that we're talking about tonight when it comes to gender swapping, genetic manipulation, that kind of thing. So it goes into some very strange esoteric stuff when you're talking about this whole trans thing, especially people in positions of authority or positions of influence, like in entertainment or politics, whatever it may be. So the Transpocalypse and Trans Files dudes are great. They have some great information, but I'll let people make it up for themselves, honestly, because I'm partially down the train, but I'm not all the way on a lot of it. The female to male stuff is a lot harder to.
I'm actually glad we weren't talking bad about Yakov just now, because he's actually in the chat. So.
Well, my main concern.
Oh, what's up, buddy?
Yeah.
Go ahead, V.
Thing is that. Yeah, my main concern is that it gets out of hand and we don't know at all, and that seems like a logical reason to start conducting investigation is because I'm out there, man. I'm like single and like I'm meeting chicks, and like how far is it going to be when like you come across a chick and you go, that's a chick for sure, but then down the road you find out, well, no, she just had like a serious amount of surgery and now she's got this fake what do you call it, the gene. Yeah, she's got a weird looking vagina. And you're going, that looks like a mutilated penis. Actually, it doesn't look like a vagina.
Have you gone to the grocery store and just hit one of those ground beefs that are in the Saran wrap package? That's kind of what it looks like.
Okay. So here's what happens is it gay?
Oh,
like you got this transvestite, right? A man that became full-on woman, like he had his dick cut down the middle, right? Folded. He had his dick cut down the middle and folded, so now he has like kind of a weird vagina, but it's a vagina, quote unquote, right? and he's got boob implants, and all of his hair and testosterone is removed, and estrogen is upped and all that, so he looks like a female. And you never knew, you don't know, right? So nobody knows, nobody tells you, right? And so this whole time you think it's a woman and she's kind of attractive, but and you go, well, fuck it, right? You don't know, you have no idea, so you bang it, right?
Yeah, it depends on which side of the argument you're on. Let me ask you this, Lee. If I were to find a man, right, and I taped his dick up, because I'm helping him pull this ruse, right? I tape his dick up. And then I just slap like a toupee on there, so it looks like, his dick and balls up. And then I put a toupee on it, so it just kind of looks like a really bushy pubic hair patch. And then I just slit a gash right down his taint from back of nutsack down to the anus, right? The grundle, I think is what it's called. If I were to slice an area in there, and I said, "Hey V, get a look at this fine piece right here," and you took him in the back and you fucked him, would that be gay? Is my question to you, V.
Yeah, that's my point. Is unknowing, does that make you gay? Like, because you didn't know? Like, well, in James's situation, he knew and he just said fuck it, right?
He knew that it was a dick, or knew that there were dicks. Hold on, let me bump up my audio. Somebody said the bearded guy is coming in low. All right. Well, and then here's the thing too, and here's my second part of that argument. I think it's gay regardless. I think there's like post gayness, right? It's maybe not gay at the time, but then if later on you're like, oh dang, that was a dude, like then you're gonna have that internal moral situation where you're like, I fucked a guy, so it's post gay. It's still gay.
I mean, you're not sucking a dick. You're not sucking a dick, and you're not getting like ass fucked. Yeah,
I mean that's clearly gay. But
fact. I could have said.
And one fun fact I'll tell you guys about all these super popular trannies or transvestites, whatever I call them, just trannies. But one thing about these that we were talking about on an episode is the concept of castrati. It's an old Italian thing. Western European thing where they'd actually castrate young boys to keep their singing voices at a higher level and their normal voices at a higher level so that they could sing and reach these incredible ranges. But that was actually a technique used in transitioning, in changing over genders.
I bet that's what happened to that dude Jamiroquai. I bet that's what he did.
Maybe. That's very possible. He had that one song back in the 90s. He was always on TRL.
Sanity.
That's how you know that George Floyd wasn't a tranny, at least.
How?
He wasn't a castrati.
Yeah, castrate, right?
I can't breathe. For an hour and a half when he's being arrested. No, but and then here's the other thing, V. I'll say this is even the doctor who pioneered the sex change surgery, the transition surgery, said that you're not turning a man into a female, or a male into a female, or a female into a male. You're making a male more feminine and a female more masculine is all you're doing. So it's still gay. Like, no matter how you slice it. I mean, if you never find out, who cares? Because if you never find out and nobody you know ever finds out, and it was like even the person who hooked up with you or whatever never tells anybody about it, it's kind of like the if a tree falls in the middle of the woods, can anyone hear it? If a dick enters another dude and nobody ever knows, like, is it still gay?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, good analogy.
So thank you. So hey, welcome to the chat, James. Appreciate you tuning in for the first time. And I don't take offense to the bearded guy coming in really low. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't. Let me see. It wasn't like this bearded guy that you were talking about. But and then also welcome to the chat. Welcome back for what was it? So you're like another one of our faithful followers, ubiquitous DAK, and I'll never pronounce it right, and I'll never get that one right. But so I guess it's time to head into the actual meat of the episode. Like the vice president said the other day, "Oh, I got some red meat for you." Nobody thought there would be any jokes coming from that, but there are. Like we said, we have Reinhardt on the episode, and he comes at us from Paranormies, a show that does significantly better than us, and from Skinwalker Tapes, who also does significantly better than we are. So we're slowly stealing all the good co-hosts or whatever, and the good panels from other shows. But he's come to us to talk about a topic that I think we've mentioned a few times in passing, but we've never in depth looked into it. And it is actually the Nephilim. And he is what I would consider an expert in Nephilim. He's I don't know. We'll find out how modest he is in his response here, but I think he's an expert. The one or two of the times I was on Skinwalker Tapes, he said something about the Nephilim, and I said, "That's a guy who knows a thing or two about this, and we need to get him on the show." So Reinhardt, if you want to, I don't know how you. This is all you today. I'm just the button clicker, and V's the quip guy. So you just let me know where to go.
Said I'm phoning it in today, man. I'm not. I'm gonna let you do it.
Oh man, well. I'm about to be incredibly modest here and say I wouldn't call myself an expert. I'd quote one of my favorite scholars and just say, after Dr. Michael Heiser, I've never had an original thought in my head. I only study other guys who've dedicated their lives to this, and I try and put this out in terms that a lot of people can understand at one time. But this is. At this point in my life, after like 12 years of studying this stuff, I kind of have to call it a passion. Really is. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I'll try
we always
and
sing your guys'
some
praises
justice
when you come on the show. We sit here and because we wouldn't bring you on the show if we didn't think you were the subject matter expert of the episode. So what the heck is a Nephilim?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Can you tell me what it is? Because I know, all I know is I thought it was like an angel.
V, you didn't remind me. We have to do the shot. What are we shooting to?
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I told you I'm phoning it in today, so
something. Give me something so I can do this damn shot, and we can hand it off to Reinhardt. We've already tried to. We've done cold opens for him 3 times now. So
a bear dropping a shit in the woods, or I don't know.
No, what is it? Put if to hopefully not ever being put in this. Yeah, I was gonna say to hopefully never being put in a position where you bang a dude and then don't ever find out that it was whatever. Yeah. To hoping you never bang a dude.
Yeah, there you go.
Period. Or hoping you never bang a Nephilim.
All right, yeah, that too. Well, then you create the ultimate.
Give me a late. What do we say? The kindergarten. Break it down, Barney style. Tell me what a Nephilim is. Nephilim. Yeah. Nephilim.
So, and I know on this podcast, sometimes you guys like to go with biblical angle. I know Tom does.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, as far as the biblical angle goes, and this legend, these beings span across pretty much every major culture. You can find them on every continent. Stories of giant beings, and that's kind of giving away part of it, but getting to it. The Nephilim, to talk about them, you kind of have to go back just a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a couple hundred years into prehistory, what we would call prehistory, I guess. Before what we talk about as the flood of Noah. I call it just the cataclysm. There were cataclysms of fire, of water. There have been a couple resets on Earth. Let's put it that way. But what I want to pull out is actually the first ever mention of Nephilim in the Bible. So Genesis 6:4 is the essential, just first passage anyone studying the Nephilim wants to see. And if I can read that, it's
please go ahead.
It says, quote, and I'm reading out of the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament. I much prefer it to the Masoretic text, but Masoretic text has its own uses.
Oh, don't get me started.
And Genesis 6:4 says, quote, and the Lord God said, my spirit shall certainly not remain among these men forever, because they are flesh, but their days shall be 120 years. Now the giants were upon the earth in those days. Now this is, Genesis 6:5 here. Now the giants were upon the earth in those days. And after that, when the sons of God were wont to go into the daughters of men, they bore children to them. Those were the giants of old, the men of renown. Other translations say the mighty men of old, men of renown. When they're talking about that, they mean basically demigods. larger than life beings who were not quite human, and they had some kind of superhuman ability, or strength or size, things like that. So at one point, we have, in the days of one of the pre-flood patriarchs, one of the pre-flood descendants of Seth, the son of Adam, who was anointed after Cain killed Abel. From his line, we have a man named Yared. In the days of Yared, it's told in the book of Enoch, which is an extra biblical source. It's not included in most Western Bibles. Yeah, not most canons. I think the Ethiopian canon, Ethiopian Orthodox, includes it, especially the first book, the Book of Giants. That one is the one considered by most scholars to be kind of the most, not relevant, but most accurate, I guess they could say.
Has the authority,
it's the one most used.
Authoritative.
Yeah, exactly. Because stuff after that deals a lot with Enoch being taken through levels of heaven by archangels, and it's very spiritual, very, very strange, very removed from the first book. But this first book talks about these angels, watchers that were sent down to earth by God to rule over humanity and help guide humanity into the light after the deception of the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the serpent Nakash, which means fiery serpent, which actually out of my study I've learned is most likely a dragon. A dragon or a hydra, very possibly being the Leviathan of Revelation, Chaos, Tiamat, as is called in Sumerian mythology, has many names. Many of these things have many different names across cultures, so it's very difficult to kind of match up the names and ranks and all that kind of stuff when you're looking at pantheons and different religious figures. But after Adam and Eve, these watchers were sent down to heaven, or from heaven to earth, and they rebelled. It's said in the book of Enoch, and more detailed in a book called the Book of Jubilees, which is pseudepigraphal. It's very not shown in canon biblical text. And they apparently took an oath to rebel against God and to mate with human women and to then rule over humanity as they saw fit.
So what? They're like angels? Are they angels? Yep. Or
they were angels. They were seraphim angels. They were throne guardians for the throne of Christ. And these seraphim angels were fiery. They were described as fiery serpents or serpents of light. So their visage, their face, looked very much like a viper or serpent of a kind, which is where we get a lot of serpent imagery from, and from Leviathan, the chaos dragon, the chaos hydra, whatever you call, who was the first divine rebel in biblical canon, Genesis 1-2. But these watchers came down, they rebelled, they took human women as their wives, they mated with them, and the children that they bore to them were giants. They were Nephilim. Translated from Hebrew, Nephilim goes to Greek as gigantes, which does not mean giants, actually. That was a big mistake in a lot of translations. Does not mean giants, it means earthborn, born of the earth. Why would they be called born of the earth if they were born from humans?
Just regular humans, and then they were like, well, this one was born from the earth. Well, aren't they all?
That was a prevailing theory for a few hundred years, actually, up until the 1900s, was that these sons of God were actually sons of Seth mating with sons of Cain. Sons of God is actually translated as Elohim in the original Hebrew. Elohim is used as angels in the original Hebrew.
B'nai Ha-Elohim, right?
Exactly, yes.
Oh, I know Benny Hanna. That's where they do the...
That's where they got all that shit on the wall, right?
Yeah, I told you I could add quips.
But yeah, B'nai Elohim, which is only ever used when speaking of angelic beings. Angel being Malak or Malakim, meaning messenger. So I try and call them angelic beings as much as I can, just because angel is one job. But these watchers, they come down, they have these children, and these children are tyrants. They are Nephilim. They are giants. They most likely killed the human women that they were birthed from in birth. Because can you imagine being, and people were taller at this time. People were more well built. Humanity was not, completely destroyed into fat people right after Adam and Eve. So, you got what, a 5'8" to 6 foot woman giving birth to a giant who has, in this first round of giants, has been theorized to be, well, yeah, the first draft, has been theorized to be anywhere from 20 to 40 feet.
Jesus.
As an adult. As a fully grown adult,
what,
which is insane.
3 times the size of the average male now. But back then I think they were shorter, right? But still, like 4 times the size. So 4 times the size baby would be what, 24 pounds, right? Give or take.
Yeah,
I've taken some big shits, and that's how I compare, like, having babies, like, to taking a dump. Your butthole dilates. You got to take a big poop.
It'd be very much more akin. I always think of it like a chest burster from Alien, more than a baby. Just going a little bit farther down south than the chest. But yeah, these beings were huge, especially at first. The first round apparently were the biggest. They were the most imposing, and they were actually called Titans. We would call them, from Greek mythology, Titans. And they had the visages of their fathers. So they had faces like serpents, like vipers, mixed with humanity. So they had fangs. There are several sources that say they had double rows of teeth. Andrew Collins is one of my favorite scholars. He wrote one of my absolute favorite books on the subject of a lost race of angelic and giant beings called From the Ashes of Angels. He's not a Christian, I don't believe, but he goes through Christianity, everything from Christianity to the Yazidi tribe of Iran. And this guy did such great research. So go check out his book. But they were horrific to look upon, and they held a specific countenance that is not recorded anywhere else but these giant peoples. They were so bloodthirsty. They were off the bat tyrannical, evil. They drank blood. They drank blood as sustenance, ate humans. They were cannibalistic, if you can call them that, even though they were half human. And they ended up ruling the pre-flood world for the most part. So you have these giants who are the Titans in most mythologies, and most of these mythologies, they demonize Yahweh, the God of the Bible, and replace Yahweh with, the enemies, Satan, Lucifer, Leviathan, whatever you want to call them. They replace the two. And we have legends of, the Titans of Greek mythology being overthrown by the Olympians, by Zeus, who castrated his father and, overthrew him in his golden age. And
his father being Kronos, right?
His father being Kronos or Saturn, which is very important, actually.
That's the Roman, right? The Roman mythology, or the Roman equivalent?
Right. That's the Roman equivalent. And these primordial gods that you have, so Kronos, Saturn overthrew his father, Uranus, the god of the sky. Well, those primordial gods, Uranus, Gaia, they were most likely the Watchers themselves, the original angels who were imprisoned. Because as soon as this happened, it ran for a little while. This whole thing ran amok for a bit. And then eventually God said, no, enough. This is not happening anymore. And used the biblical patriarch Enoch, who was translated to heaven on his when he was 365. So he's the outlier, and all those pre-flood patriarchs, they're all living like freaking 800 years, 900 years. His son Methuselah was the oldest man who ever lived, something like 964, I think it was.
Yeah, in that area.
But Enoch was meant to be...
I know about Methuselah. That was the oldest dude in the Bible, right?
Exactly.
Existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Adam
I immediately shit on every other religion. Yeah, they don't. Anyone who says otherwise is full of shit.
Look, man, I take every other religion as demons, all their gods, everything as fallen angels, Nephilim, and so yeah.
Yeah, Reinhardt. That's
So
the
if
thing
you were
with you guys. You guys need to know is Reinhardt is like the crazy alien guy, where instead of aliens, it's Nephilim. Is like everything that he does. So
well, I'm I'm a Scientologist, so I believe in Yondu.
Oh, so you're hoping for your special planet that Lord Xenu is going to provide you whenever the end times come.
No, I thought it was Yondu.
Yeah, that's a different guy, I think. It doesn't matter. They're all the same, right?
No, sorry. Xenu is the enemy. Xenu was the evil space emperor that was imprisoned in the volcano. That's right.
But who's Yondu then, Reinhardt?
It wasn't Yondu.
Who's Yondu?
They have different names. I mean, different religions have different names, but
V's ready to sign on to whatever religion has Yondu as the head guy.
See, when you say Yondu, I just think of freaking Michael Rooker in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where we got it from.
That is where we got it.
I'm pretty sure that's where Stan Lee got it from. That's Satanist.
I love how, like, did you see that one where that video that somebody did where they took like the Half-Life engine and then or the Half-Life sandbox, like Gary's mod or whatever, and they did with Stan Lee, and then they had what's his face, the dude who got beat up by the cops and choked out, Gary Floyd.
George Floyd.
Yeah, you got to do their names wrong. That way it just it like fuels the fire. Gerald Floyd. He was walking up or whatever, and then it shows Stanley like waving him in or whatever. Remember that? No. All right, never mind.
I do want to say this in the interest of pissing people off. I do want to say this: George Floyd has been sober for over 110 days.
That's impressive.
Let's clap it up, man. That's just congratulations.
They lined his gold sarcophagus that they had him in his fourth funeral that he had to do. Every time they did his funeral, like people were stacking 40s on top of it and like crack rocks, sprinkling it on top.
King
like,
Cobras all around.
Rest in power, Gerald, or whatever his name was.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
His death mask I heard was actually Jacob, the original Egyptian.
Who?
The original black alien Egyptian that seeded the Egyptian race of black power. Yeah, I think that was his death mask. His solid gold death mask they had. It's actually going to be displayed in the British Museum alongside King Tut.
Damn.
So did they put George Floyd there too? Frank?
I mean, why wouldn't they?
They wheeled him into one of the pyramids or whatever. All right, back to the back to these damn Nephilim. Let's stop talking about Jerry Floyd. Jerry Seinfloyd, as Kyle says.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfloyd. I love that. So these giants, all right, the first round, they're pretty bad. Like they're awful. They're the big bads. They're the biggest of them all. And when I say biggest of them all, we have to think about blood dilution, right? So these Nephilim, they're not mating with their own. They're not mating with their fathers. I mean, which these angelic beings can take the form of a man or a woman, which is where we get a lot of the androgyny and gender swapping, that kind of thing, from. Because an angel doesn't have a gender. They don't, because they're not human. And now they could have some kind of aspect of gender that is far beyond what we can perceive because they're totally different from us.
What are they, like eunuchs, right? Eunuch? Is that the word?
I mean, possibly. I'm not going to speculate on angelic genitalia because that's...
Well, let's speculate. I don't know.
That's what we do here. No, you know what? I'll say this for the sake of accuracy. If you look into the Summa Theologica by Aquinas, and it's in part 1, question 51, article 3 of that particular book. I know nobody's writing this down, but
I actually am.
People on their phone like, but that's actually where Aquinas talks about angel anatomy, and based off of, here's the thing with Aquinas and all the other Aquinas, Augustine, all the other fathers or whatever, is they did a lot of speculation and they tried to use it based on exegetical work. But that's where a lot of our issues with doctrine and the separation of the denominations within the Reformed Church, the Reformed Christian Church, is because of a lot of their speculation that isn't necessarily rooted in Scripture or have any scriptural backing.
Right.
So take whatever Aquinas says. Smart guy and very faithful Christian or Catholic, I guess he was, but same coin, different side. Very faithful guy, but don't like read his script or his stuff like it's scripture. But understand that he was a smart dude, and he actually talks about angel genitalia and what they're capable of doing. And then City of God by Augustine, book 15, was another one that talks about, and this is something that I assume we'll talk about later, some of the other theories about what the Nephilim were, right? Or are you just going to stick strictly with angelic beings? And I can knock out.
I mean, I was going to stick with angelic beings because I feel like that's the only option that can be given as angelic offspring.
How
coming
are
from?
This is like a contradiction that I don't get. How are they banging women? Like, what do they do? Like, do they insert their hand in there or something? They got
no. We can see in the Bible where angels take human form, where angelic beings actually take the form of humanity. But you can tell that they're not fully human. They have a countenance about them in biblical texts. But do that? They can take the form, sure. They're more powerful than us, and they can manipulate dimensions. And there are dimensions. I think anybody that is interested in science, and just side note, I don't think that science and spirituality are opposites. I think they're two sides of the same coin, and they're meant to go together.
Yeah, what does Thor say? Remember what Thor said? He said, "You call it science, we call it magic." Right? That's,
exactly.
They're one and the same. Where he comes from, they're one and the same.
Exactly. Right, I truly believe that because I've seen magic at work, both good I would call the power of the Holy Spirit, and black magic. I've seen both at work. And a lot of it has to do with science. A lot of it is intertwined with mathematics and the principles that God built our universe on. I just think that angelic beings have a greater ability to manipulate those things and use them to their advantage however they need to. And they can have whatever form they wish in our human world.
Someone fucking said Dogbot's name 3 times because he's in the chat now. So, mind your manners, Reinhardt. I know you were saying all sorts of horrible things about him a minute ago.
Oh, he knows he loves me. No, angels weren't trannies. These watchers weren't trannies. Not in our sense.
Good.
Not in our sense. But these angels, they were able to take form that was apparently very attractive. Because we have in different texts, in Sumerian texts, in Ugaritic texts, Ugarit was a city-state around Sumeria, around the same time in Canaan. And we have texts from Tyre, which is one of the oldest populated cities ever, Jericho, many other sources, and Jericho's been long destroyed. So we have things that came out of Jericho to other cities. But we have...
So what you're telling me is that angels can like look like humans and like have the plumbing, so to speak, of humans?
Yes, because, and this is one of the most telling instances, when Lot, who was the nephew of Abraham, was in Sodom, and Abraham went to Sodom to go get him because Lot kept getting into some stupid freaking trouble all the time.
Trying to rape the angels.
Yes, yeah, 2 angels came down to warn.
That's where it started. That's where fudge packing started.
Well, that's where we get the name. Yeah.
I mean, these angels.
The origin
of
fudge packing.
Warn Lot. They were like, "Hey, get out! Take your family, leave, don't look back." And as soon as they appeared in the city square, what did the people want to do? They wanted to have sex with them. Even though they knew, and these angels have, again, a certain countenance. They're not fully human, but there's something there. These people recognize that. They knew it. And they thought in their religions, and it's very important in post-flood religion to think about this. In these religions, it was a blessing to be with a spiritual being, to give birth to a spiritual being, not knowing that truly that spiritual being was going to be a cannibalistic giant that was probably going to kill you in childbirth and be a tyrannical leader that was
going to split you right down the middle.
So is it more common for like an angel to like bang a chick and then like give birth to like a Nephilim than it is for like a dude to get to like bang an angel? Because that is like, do you ever hear about like, here's what I'm getting at here. What I'm getting at is
he
there
wants to fuck an angel.
Yeah, I mean, if that's a possibility, then that's gonna like move to the top of my bucket list. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what we're told is that they went through human women, so they had some attraction to human women. And the thing with this, and this comes from one of my favorite authors, who he's working on a book about this, and it's pissing me off because he's been telling me it's been done for months now. But I love this guy. His name is Timothy Alberino, writing a book called The Birthright on the alien question and how it actually relates to angelic beings, and how the universe is filled with different cultures of angelic and non-angelic beings, whoever they may be, covered in different factions. Getting away from all that, angels don't have the ability to reproduce. They don't need it because they're immortal. We do. We have the ability to create a family. We have the ability to, procreate, create a family that is a mirror image of the family that God, Christ, desires for us, that he has with us. So those angels in rebellion wanted that for themselves. It was selfishness and pride. They were saying, I want this. I can have this now. But they had to rebel. They can't procreate because they don't need to. We procreate because we need to, because we need to pass on the knowledge and love of Christ. The legacy of us, has to live through our children, because we aren't immortal. We live, 80, 90 years at the most. So,
well, I don't know if I'm not immortal. I could be.
I could be immortal.
Yeah, I haven't died yet, so far so good.
Off to a good start.
Yeah,
but that's what could have pissed. That's what could have pissed these watchers off, is seeing these families, able to procreate and have sons, and it could have been out of a misguided love. It could not have started as evil. That's a possibility. That these guys weren't trying to be evil, but they were filled with pride and with selfishness because they wanted that for themselves. And then they gave birth to these horrific beings.
James Nope in the chat actually asked, wait, why were the angels all of a sudden cannibals and murderous? And I think that has something to do with the human nature. What's your take on that there, Reinhardt?
I wouldn't say it's human nature. We do have a lot of evidence to show that we, as descended from Cro-Magnons, don't have that kind of nature, but there were Neanderthal beings, older, much more rugged, and this kind of gets into a racial thing that I don't think you guys want to talk about.
Go ahead.
Okay, there are a lot of theories that, and historical data to show that we have talked about in our preparation chats and amongst ourselves as Paranormal show hosts, that the Neanderthals of the distant past had been cannibalistic, very sexually aggressive, destructive towards Cro-Magnons, and that the people that hold the most Neanderthal DNA in the modern era are who we call Jewish people. Now, that is a separate thing in and of itself. However, the Neanderthals did show in the historical data a vast amount of sexual aggression, cannibalism, even blood drinking. They were animalistic, completely animalistic.
I'll tell you how you could determine is if you look at this species of Cro-Magnon and if they have big noses, and right away.
If you look at the cave drawings of them, if they're like holding money bags and stuff, right?
Yeah, dude, look at Neanderthal noses. Dude, I've got actually a couple of things that actually connect Neanderthals with the legends of vampires. Funny enough. Being blood drinking beings who were, susceptible to light. And actually, there's evidence to show in diluted Nephilim blood in men like Vlad Dracul, who had red hair, green eyes, and we can talk about that in a bit, or about the characteristics of the Nephilim, because I'm sure people want to hear about the characteristics and what they could have looked
Nephilim, like Nephilim became Draculas? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
They took away from it.
They were blood drinkers, and they could have been susceptible to light, because we actually do have a lot of evidence of these giants living in dark places, dark temples, dark caves. I'm talking about possibly the Kandahar giant, which was found in
Osama
2002.
Bin Laden was a Nephilim. Let's do this.
Probably
Reinhardt,
not,
because let's do this real quick. Yeah, he was actually only like how tall was Osama Bin Laden? Anybody know in the chat?
Osama was a manlet.
I was going to say, I thought he was pretty short. Why don't we do that real quick? Let's do the characteristics of the Nephilim, and I'll kind of page through these pictures again if you want to kind of describe some of these as they relate here. Because I know people are just itching to hear.
Yeah, and I'm actually pulling some of this from the book, The Genesis 6 Conspiracy from Gary Wayne. This is a great book. It's hundreds of pages long. It's like 99, 98 chapters, detailing everything from prehistory, pre-flood history, all the way to secret societies, Arthurian mythology, Gnosticism, all different subjects that you can pull really good sources from, because almost every sentence is sourced in a way. Every sentence, every other sentence has sources, and I pulled a lot of my favorite books from his sources. And Wayne, in a lot of ways, I'll call him a boomer, and you're going to hear me trash him a lot in the next couple of Paranormies episodes whenever we do Tolkien in like 2-3 weeks, because I think he went full boomer there. But he has some great information he pulled from Andrew Collins, Lawrence Gardner. So here.
Yeah, Osama Bin Laden was 6'5". I checked it and actually.
Yep, confirmed. Osama Bin Laden was a Nephilim.
6'5"? He's pretty tall.
Actually, you know what? My thing is show hands, because you're going to want to hear this. Show hands. Many Nephilim and giants, one and the same, were described as having 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. The giant Og of Bashan, who was the first giant to fall to the forces of Moses and Joshua in the conquering of Canaan. Bashan is a very important place. That is at the foothills of Mount Hermon, which is where those watchers, those angels, rebelled. They gathered on this mountain, and they took an oath to rebel against God. So they made it the anti-Zion. And not anti-Zion like what we think, like anti-Zionist, but they made it the anti-holy mountain of God. So Og of Bashan, big man, huge dude. Og possessed 6 fingers on each hand, 6 fingers each toe. He had, according to his size, he had apparently a 25 or 30 size foot in modern measurements. Oh, but we have here, Josephus confirmed the same scenario, that the Nephilim possessed an extra finger in each hand and each foot. These are corroborated from Josephus, from the Bible, from Sumer, from all different sources. So we have here too, the Nephilim were terrible to look upon, just as their Serpentine fathers had been. And remember, these seraphim, think of them as fiery serpents, holy serpents. Now think of them mating again with human women, and you get human serpent vibes, kind of like the lizard from Amazing Spider-Man, if I have to put it in like pop culture terms.
Could you imagine having an extra finger, though? Like, imagine playing video games with an extra finger, dude.
I think that would be considered that would actually be, you wouldn't be able to compete like competitively on ESPN's
imagine playing Overwatch, mouse and keyboard with 6 fingers.
Yeah, that's insane.
How many words
Counter-Strike?
Can you imagine the guy who has an extra set of fingers or whatever, or an extra couple fingers, and he can't type more than 60 words per minute? You know how much shit that dude would get? Like, why aren't you in accounting, or why aren't you in HR or something? You should be able to typing up memos.
What are those ladies that do the they type for the court thing?
Oh, stenographers. Yeah. I like how you said ladies, like it's the only women can do that job.
I mean, only women can do that job because men are doing something more important. Sorry.
Chick.
I do have this thing here, Reinhardt. I try to bring up something that you can relate to with your discussion here. Here's a few skeletal remains of some individuals here.
Yeah, and the skeletal remains are something interesting I want to get into later. But as we're looking at those, I can read here, King Og of the Amorites. And the Amorites, if you want to know more about them, they're super important when talking about the Nephilim. You're going to hear words like Amorite and Rephaim. Rephaim were spirits of dead kings, which in their text actually are dead Nephilim kings. If you want to know more about the Amorites and the Rephaim, go look up Derek P. Gilbert's book, Last Clash of the Titans. He actually connects all of this to Greek mythology, and it's a very interesting read. One of my favorites. But we hear here, back to King Og of the Amorites, he had a bed that was more than 13 feet long, 6 feet wide, and it was made of iron. Because his size, it would have destroyed anything made of wood. I mean, you have a guy that size, you're looking at like, oh God, if he's made of muscle, like what, 600 to 900 pounds, I think it is, that some people have theorized. That's freaking huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gigantic. And that's Og, who probably would have lived, okay, so we're looking at Abraham about, God, I might have to look at my notes at this. And I do have notes on some of the timelines of these people, which is very important. The timelines, I've talked a lot about fake history, messed up medieval history or whatever. But as far as timelines go, we're looking for Abraham maybe 2250 BC or so. Let me look through my stuff here.
Hey, you know what? Don't beat yourself up about it, Reinhardt. Maybe next time. Oof.
Burn.
No, don't worry. Don't worry about dates. Don't worry about dates. But what I do want to hear about is who's this 36-footer, and who are some of these really, like, how tall would you say was a Nephilim? How tall would you say was the original draft of them versus like this 36-footer guy here?
I've seen between 20 and 40 before the flood of Noah. So we're talking first couple generations, which makes sense. If you have the source, which is an angelic being and a human woman, and that angelic being is injected straight into the human, births out probably the most predominant gene.
We're talking angel semen now? Is that what we're talking about?
Angels and humans,
so.
We're talking the strongest bloodline possible at that moment. So we're looking, again, I've heard 20 to 40 feet. Rob Skiba has given a decent timeline, the best he can make. And he is a flat earther if people are, kind of on the fence about that.
Not me.
But his site, what is it? Seed the Series, I believe, and Babylon Rising. BabylonRising.com has a great kind of timeline and a great little visual on the sizes of these Nephilim at one point, and timeline as far as it relates to the Nephilim, Abraham, Nimrod, and it ties together a lot. So it's very useful, just, in providing some perspective. But these first Nephilim would have been the biggest. They would have been the baddest. And they were provided what I call and what Wayne calls the 7 sacred sciences. We hear that a lot when it comes to Freemasonry. They talk about the 7 liberal sciences. Gnosticism talks about the 7 sciences. Everything from mathematics to linguistics. They are the sciences that make up our world. And these were used in spurious ways by these Nephilim, spurred on by the descendants of Cain, because that was passed on from Adam to Cain, and Cain passed it on through his progeny. And that's where we get things like temples, pyramids, the pillars of Lamech, which supposedly were built of a material that could withstand the flood and carried that information. And Nimrod supposedly read them after the flood and continued that on. But we have, in post-flood world, we still have giants.
Yeah, what gives?
We still have, who was it? Goliath of Gath, the sons of Anak, the Anakim. the Rephaim. And
the
we have these
Michaelim,
giants.
the Leonid, and the Donatine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are many names attributed to them through Gnostic and Christian sources and Hebrew sources. I like to make a distinction between Hebrew and Jewish sources. But yes, we have those distinctions.
Keep it clean, Reinhardt.
Just because there's Old Testament Hebrew and there's Second Temple Judaism, which is very different in a lot of ways than Old Testament Hebrew. So when I say Jewish on this show, I don't mean that as a derogatory term. I really don't.
It's funny is I always talk about how like the Jew, you say Jew, derogatory, but it's also like, like if you go, oh, Jews, if you're like, well, Jews, it's like, well, just the way you say it makes it sound.
Well, if you want to know what I think about them today, they're not Hebrew. Israel isn't a Hebrew nation. We are more Hebrew than anyone living in Israel right now.
I'm American.
Palestine is more Hebrew than the people living in Israel. So that's all I'll say on that. So we have these descriptions. I mean, getting back to like physical descriptions of these guys. As far as height goes, it's going to deteriorate because you just have these bloodlines that go through. And there are several interpretations of why they existed before and after the flood. I mean, there's anything ranging from Og of Bashan holding on to a piece of the ark during the flood and surviving.
Stowaway.
Yeah, basically a stowaway, which Darren Aronofsky's Noah film had Tubal Cain as a stowaway, which Tubal Cain was the first Grand Master of the Freemasons.
Right? Russell Crowe?
Yes, and Tubal Cain historically is known as the first Grand Master of the Freemasons.
Oh yeah.
No, my God, Waterworld.
Liam Neeson.
No, that's a different guy. You're thinking of
Liam Neeson was a Nephilim.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Is. But we have different ideas of how they persisted after the flood. One of the most well-known theories is the second incursion, that more angels came down and rebelled and had more Nephilim kids.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly. Between these theories, there are a lot of reasons, pros and cons, to believe in each one. Rob Skiba says in Enoch, Enoch is basically looking down at the destruction of the Nephilim that God ordered, which he ordered Michael to go down with the host of heaven and slaughter all the Nephilim before the flood happened, and then imprison all the watchers, all the fallen angels, 200 of them that had done the original sin, and or the original deed, not the original sin. But then somebody like Timothy Alberino says, what was to stop any more angels from going prideful and doing this? Which I tend to agree with. If it happened once, what's to stop it from happening again? So it's really up to interpretation. You got to read different people and kind of just see their pros and cons. But afterward, you see a dilution of size, strength, everything. I mean, if they really were 40 feet tall at the outset, and you get Goliath of Gath, who is 12 feet tall, which, I mean, I don't mean to scoff at a 12-foot man, but...
I do... What I think is a reasonable explanation here is all the first string angels with the really potent serum, right? They went down in the first wave, and then their offspring got knocked out by the flood, and then the second string shows up. Now, these guys have a weaker load. They're the ones who are pumping babies into the daughters of man.
When you say load, you're talking about semen, right?
Yeah.
Talking about semen.
Yeah. And you know what I think too?
Angel semen.
I wonder
this. The load.
Remember that discussion they have on Mallrats where they talk about Brody, he's talking about Superman banging Lois Lane. But
super jizz,
load, yeah, his load would burst through her, and he'd have to wear a kryptonite condom, but that would kill him. Which I don't think that's true. I think it would just kind of bring him to... Isn't that kind of what the kryptonite does? It kind of brings him to a human level of power. So I think that would have been acceptable, thereby
super
negating
jizz.
that entire thing. But yeah, these angels, when they bursted loads into women, do you think it was a powerful load as far as like force? Because when you ejaculate, it's something like 20 some miles an hour, isn't it? Right?
No way, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
They could mimic that. If they can take human form, they can mimic the human anatomy.
Control.
I'm gonna get.
How
you know what I'm
hard
gonna do? I'm gonna get one of those. I'm gonna get one of those. What do the cops do to like measure how fast you're going? I'm gonna get one of those, and next time I whack off, speedometer. And next time I whack off, I'm gonna try to measure the speed of how fast my jizz comes out.
God, if only Yared had a speedometer.
Yeah,
that's not the speed of my jizz.
Yared of Cain had a speedometer when a fallen angel whacked off of his daughter's.
We get the first thing, that meme where it's like if girls had a time machine and it would be like, hey, I'm your granddaughter, and they're like, what? But then if a guy has a time machine, and then it shows like me running up with a speedometer or like the speed gun or whatever, and I'm like, here, and handing it to the dude. Measure how fast these angels jizz and how hard they do, and then tell us.
That's what we want to know.
Can I challenge someone in the chat to make that with my profile picture? Just because it's easy to slap my picture on there. So somebody who's listening, do that.
That'll be the meme that comes from this one. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what V comes up with for tonight on the show. V says this totally rational thing. Reinhardt, and then it shows like some angel jerking off in the corners.
Yeah.
So do we want to keep talking about some of the features? Because besides height, I don't think we've gotten to many of the features.
I think
of these guys.
I think we got a pretty good spot there. I know you sent me something about Gilgamesh. Do you want to talk something about Gilgamesh?
Yeah, Gilgamesh was, according to the Epic of Gilgamesh, was 1/3 man and 2/3 god. He was a demigod.
How does that?
He
work?
Was very the same way that an angelic being goes into a human woman. So he was a proclaimed demigod. He was a offspring of a fallen angel. His height was actually recorded as a giant. And in the Epic of Gilgamesh, length is very different than what we see. Everything is very elongated. I mean, they talk about the cedars of Lebanon, yes, but pretty much everyone is a little bit bigger when it comes to measurements. But he specifically was recorded as being 1/3 man, 2/3 god. So he was a Sumerian demigod. The interesting thing is he seeks out a man named Utnapishtim. Utnapishtim being a king from before the flood who was spared by the gods. He, his family, and his sons were spared by the gods and granted immortality. To me, that sounds like Noah.
For a lot of, there are some people that maybe don't know who Gilgamesh is. I actually have a picture of him right here. If you need to see.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, that's
the guy.
I had no idea that Gilgamesh rocked the spiky mullet.
Yeah,
makes sense though.
Gilgamesh, ancient Mesopotamian fellow.
See, I was thinking Gilgamesh would have an undercut.
No, this is him. This is what pulled up when I looked him up earlier.
It always throws me off. I go, oh, a picture, and then there he is.
From now on, like from now until eternity, we're going to always have a copyright strike because of this joke, and I'm totally okay with it. Every time the owner, the estate of Kenny Loggins always hits us for a copyright strike. I assume he's dead. I don't know. Yeah, every single time. Yeah. But go ahead.
So Kenny Loggins' estate hits you, and you're like, oh, is it because of Gilgamesh? Is it because of that guy?
I would love to
Uruk, see. Really?
I would love to see what goes through, like when it pops up on their screen, like, oh, there's been we tagged one of your songs in a YouTube video. Would you like to view it? And then it pulls up and it shows that same thing, but every time it's got a different name and title or whatever.
They're like, these assholes.
Them again. Gosh dang it. I've disputed it. I'm waiting to hear back from them. So, but go ahead, Ryan.
Oh my god. Well, the thing about Gilgamesh, I mean, so many people, atheistic archaeologists have said that because the text that we have from Gilgamesh is the oldest epic that we've ever found, that, the Bible can't be earlier, that the Bible is just a recreation of this Gilgamesh story, everything. But we see the same kind of players in the pre-flood world. We see Utnapishtim, who is a Noah figure, but that Noah figure is not Noah. Utnapishtim is a Sumerian king, and he is a pretty violent, wretched dude. The guy didn't care about the entire world being destroyed. He wanted his family saved. That was about it. And he was a typical Sumerian king. Violent, would have been most likely blood drinking in rituals, sacrificing to Inanna and El, or Anki. So
that is Sumeria. Would you consider that like Habib? Like, are you a Habib if you're from Sumeria, or is that like is that more
Sumeria
closer to like
is so freaking far back, man? It's the genealogies just don't match up. The genetics don't even match. Sumeria is pre-flood, in my opinion. And
so they were like just the original people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe the Sumerians, and they have a culture they call the Blackheads, who were born before the cataclysm. And I think there were two cataclysms. I think there was one that offset the world and allowed Adam and Eve to start over, and then people around them. So Adam and Eve were not like the end all be all. There were people outside of the Garden of Eden. And then there was the flood of Noah that happened, or the cataclysm of Noah, because there was fire and water during that whole thing. So I think the Sumerians, we know as Sumerians, were alongside Adam and Eve, built pyramids, the pyramids that I'm getting at, whether they're from Egypt to Serbia to Mexico in certain parts. Most Mexican, Mayan, Aztec pyramids that we found, they are built later, yes, but they're built on top of certain areas. Peru, they're not. So I think that Sumerians were definitely pre-flood, and that they were a Nephilim intrinsic culture.
Yeah, so what's up with that? The pyramids and the Aztec structures that are kind of like pyramids, and then the other ones over in China, were they all, because they're all like the same, they all look the same, right? Were they all built by Nephilim?
Well, L.A. Marzulli is could be a household name with a lot of listeners here, could not be. To me, he is. I've been following the guy for, almost 15 years now. He always calls it fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture. I was just watching, actually, his talk with the Gen 6 Productions Conference, the True Legends Conference 2020. It talked about, pre-Adamic civilizations, catastrophes to come, catastrophes in the past. And he gave a great talk talking about this stuff. And there was in South America, in the Near East, but predominantly in South and Central America, he was talking about these structures that were built with fallen angel knowledge that were given to them and were passed down in Nephilim architecture. We see so many megalithic sites like Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, Machu Picchu. We see sites in the Middle East, the Serpent Mound of Bashan. There's Gilgal Rephaim in the Golan Heights in the Near East that are built with blocks that are just insane. In Ollantaytambo and Sacsayhuaman, those blocks, just go and look them up. They are tons and tons heavy, but they are perfectly shaped, perfectly cut, and placed together. Now, do we have cranes back then? Probably not. If we did, they were provided by someone else. if we're going by some kind of like scientific narrative, they were not provided by us. They came from somewhere else. And
so how does this all play together? And I keep interrupting you right when you're about to make whatever point, like when you're right at your point or whatever. Keep doing this, but
no, you're fine.
I want to make sure I don't forget some of these connections. I want to make sure that I get the connections that you're making, or at least pick your brain about them a little bit. The Ars Goetia, Lesser Keys of Solomon, and the 72 demons. How does that play into the Nephilim, or does it in the building of the second, or the second temple? Yeah, no, first temple.
Oh, Ars Goetia. Oh man. So that actually plays, funny enough, into the gin.
Oh man, he's typing Ars Goetia to see what I'm talking about on Google.
No,
I know. I'm
just
actually teasing.
Kind of excited. No, the Ars Goetia actually plays a lot into the Islamic belief, and before them, the Zoroastrians and the Yazidi, that's Yazidi of Iran. The Yazidi of Iran are actually devil worshippers. They worship demons. And Andrew Collins, who I talked about before, spent time with them and wrote papers, and wrote papers on guys who also spent time with them and their ritual. But the Ars Goetia takes a lot from Jewish Kabbalist mythology and Yazidi Zoroastrian mythology. Zoroastrianism, I think, is very important in looking at demonology, because really they, in my opinion, they worship the demons. They do. They just don't believe that they do. So I think all of this ties in well, because the Nephilim, and this is something I always wanted to drop at the very end, if we're getting to the very end here.
It's going to be close to the angel part of it. I know I want to talk briefly about the alternate versions of what Nephilim could possibly be, or the alternate theories. And I know you said you were going to stick with. Now, let me preface this by saying, I'm the angel. Like, I believe that they were fallen angels. Like, I'm the paranormal guy. Like, everything's paranormal. Whereas V's there's no fucking paranormal, dude. So for the sake of V, I want to also introduce some of the other alternative theories that could be discussed. So please do what you got to do, and then we'll jump in with my stuff later.
Well, you saying that, I'll just say this: the non-paranormal angle of the Sons of Seth, which is like the predominant evangelical view for many decades. I mean, a couple of centuries probably. It just doesn't work when it comes to the biblical language. It just does not hold up. And you don't have to be an expert to understand that. You really don't. You just have to do a few minutes of research to understand. And that's been a problem with the church for a very long time, is, you take what the pastor gives and you just don't do shit with it. But when we're getting to, what were you trying to get to?
You said that it was the final thing that you wanted to touch on.
Yes. Here's the thing. So, and this is where it ties into kind of spoopy season, because I always have to go into that. So, the spirits of the Nephilim, these Nephilim were murdered. They were destroyed. Whether it was before the flood, after the flood, anything, they were cursed, actually. They were cursed as spirits to wander the earth with no sustenance. They were cursed forever. God said, you will not enter heaven, you will not enter hell, or Tartarus, anything. Tartarus was where the fallen angels went. That's where the worst of the worst went. But these Nephilim, and remember, they're products of human and angelic, human and spiritual. So, and I'm making hand motions like a freaking Italian right now. But these beings, when they died, they were fully cursed, and they had to wander the earth. Well, if you're wandering the earth as a spirit, how are you going to feel when at one point you could taste wine, you could taste meat, whether it's the meat of a goat or the meat of a human or blood, anything, any sustenance you could taste, and suddenly you're cursed to not taste anything. You can't have any sustenance. You wander the earth. That's what you do. You don't need anything, but you hunger for it. So actually, these spirits of the Nephilim are demons. This is when we're talking about demon possession, demon oppression. This is what we're talking about, is spirits of Nephilim who once dealt with this structure. They once had hunger and thirst, and they once were able to satiate it, but they can't anymore. And some of them haven't been able to satiate it for 5,000 to 7,000 years. We can't even imagine what that sounds like, what that feels like. And that's why, if they are the demonic spirits, as a man named Chuck Missler, rest in peace, he died a couple of years ago, and I owe most of my study in the beginning to him. That man made me who I am today. Imagine that. Try to imagine it.
Well, V knows what that's like with his intermittent fasting. He knows what it's like to hunger for.
Hey man, I'm doing the same.
Yeah, I was actually gonna reference that. It's funny. I was gonna say.
So
imagine.
I'm constantly fasting. Imagine intermittent fasting from 1800 BC to 400 BC.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You know, we were talking about Draculas earlier, and that would make sense. Like, that they become Draculas at a certain point, because that sounds about.
Well, when it comes to things like that, when it comes to things like that, we see the viper visage they have. You know, the fangs, the drinking of blood, the aversion to light, which is a medical condition, which is actually related to the consumption of blood. And Vlad Dracul is actually a perfect summation of that. Vlad the Third, it was actually Draculea, the son of the dragon, was born with red hair, green eyes. It's theorized
was a
he
ginger.
had 6 fingers, 6 toes.
Dracula was a ginger.
He was a ginger. And he was born into...
Yeah, he sucks.
He was born to what is called the Order of the Dragon, Order Draconis. And that is not a conspiracy theory. It's a real medieval order that was refounded by Sigismund
with the
of Luxembourg.
With the Grand Poobah or whatever, or the Grand Poobah, right?
Yeah, it was
the
Sigismund.
Loyal Order Water Buffaloes. Loyal Order.
You're thinking of the Shriners. That's a different
thing.
Oh
yeah, they were the Fez. They were the.
They put on the circus every year.
Yeah, drive the little cars around.
Collect money
these
for
guys,
kids.
Yeah,
these guys, their spirits were cursed to wander the earth, and whenever they are demons. They are what we call demons, because when they possess a human being who does not believe in Christ, a human being who does not have the strength in Christ, or has doubts and anger, gives themselves over to anger. And Tom, this is kind of your realm as well. This is way more your realm, actually.
Do I strike you as an angry person?
No. You understand this more than I do. But when they enter, when they enter a person who gives themselves over to anger, that's why they're so vulgar, right? They say "fuck you." They scream. They cry. They're cursing, all kinds of stuff. They're trying to bite someone. I mean, good God, I talked on the Skinwalker tapes. My brother dealt with this. My brother was possessed, and he tried to bite my mother and drink her blood. And he was incredibly vulgar, angry. Why? Because they can't have the sustenance they once had before, the sustenance they were never expected to have. They were never meant to exist, but they long for that existence. And they're hateful. They're awful.
So they're like God's stepchildren.
Oh yeah,
that's supposed to be.
No wonder they're gingers.
Can you imagine Dracula showing up at your house and he's got red hair and you're just like immediately not scared anymore? Like you wake up and you're like, get out, gross, touch my stuff.
Well, you think about it, it makes sense. Don't people call gingers daywalkers
and soulless? Yeah, they don't have souls. Right?
It's all making sense now. It's all making sense.
I don't believe in Genghis Khan as being a real human being. I think Genghis Khan was like a collection of many different generals, Tartarian beings.
Isn't it actually
Genghis Khan actually had red hair? Oh my God, are you going Genghis Khan with red hair and green eyes?
Genghis? Isn't that the game that you like? Isn't that the game where you pull one block out at a time and you see who can like stack them on top of the next one? Is that the game that
I thought it was? I thought it was you pull one block out and see how many women you can rape before it falls.
Oh, no, you're right. That's Jenga. That's not Jenga. That's Jenga.
Yeah,
that's the worst
Gangnam
Hasbro game ever. Oh no, that's a different guy. That's the leader of North Korea. You're thinking of me.
That's right. Gangnam Style.
No, I thought. I thought Jack was the leader of North Korea.
No, he's the guy who invented Facebook.
That's right.
Oh, crap!
It's all making sense now.
V, you're actually thinking of Katy Perry.
Every time.
Katy
I don't want to go. Yeah.
And we all come back to Katy Perry. So, what do you want to close out on, Reinhardt, with your scary version of the Nephilim? See, I'm going to say this. I believe that the Nephilim is I don't know enough about it to like debate you on it. I think that this is probably the one that I believe, the angelic beings, but I have to, for the sake of doing a full show here, and we're limited on time, unfortunately, making sure that we get the other information out too. So I do want you to, whatever your message is, your primary message that you want to get out about the Nephilim here, now's your chance to do it. Ready, go.
How much time do we have?
I don't know, like 10 minutes.
Okay. All right, 10 minutes. I can do that. So when we talk about Nephilim, we're talking about giants.
Yeah. Go.
So we're talking about giants. Now, what I would tell everyone here, look through secret societies, look through the Gnostics, the Essenes, that's Essenes, the Golden Heights, look through the Rosicrucians, look through really Arthurian mythology, and look into every country's connection with serpents and giants. That is what you want to look for. Serpents and giants. Serpent mythology comes straight from Leviathan, Tiamat, the chaos serpent that God, Yahweh himself, threw down in Genesis 1-2. And that is the same frickin' serpent that Marduk took down in Babylonian mythology, that several other heroes took down from Indian to Sumerian mythologies. It's all there. Look through storm gods. Storm gods, man, Baal to Zeus to Thor, all of them took down those huge serpents. Thor to Jormungandr, the Ouroboros. To me, the Ouroboros is actually the symbol of Cain. Not just
that's the
snake
eating its tail, right? The snake.
Yes.
Tail.
Yes. The Ouroboros.
Yeah, I know
the
stuff.
Snake eating its tail.
No, I saw it on Full Metal Alchemist. I saw it in anime. That's how I know.
Oh, dude, I freaking love Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's one of my favorite animes of all time. Look at the serpent imagery and look at giants. What I would tell you guys to look for that is the most obvious, Look in the British Isles. Look at the Tuatha De Nan as they relate to the tribe of Dan and the tribes of Israel. Look at their snaking pattern throughout Europe. Look there. So serpents and giants. Look at the connection.
Is this some kind of Jewish thing that you're trying to do?
No.
Are you trying to take this to a place of anti-Semitism, Reinhardt?
I'm not trying to. It's just, if you find something there,
every time,
go for it. But seriously, serpents and giants will follow each other because that is the religion. Saturn, well, if you want to get into Saturn, look up David Icke's Saturn Matrix. Go from there.
Yeah,
that's like a 2-hour talk, a great talk, and go from there.
Is that the one where you can escape the Matrix through the cube in Saturn? Is that what you're talking about?
No, you can't escape it through that. It's that cube is keeping you down.
Tom, isn't David Icke that guy that you were messing with the tentacle porn thing?
No, that was Kurt Eichenwald. That was a different guy. David Icke. David Icke is the guy who does all the lizard people stuff. Kurt Eichenwald is the one who does the tentacle stuff.
Hey man, giants are descended from Serpentine seraphim, so lizard people doesn't really seem out of that, realm possibility. That's another thing. Is look at lizard people stuff.
Oh, is
honestly.
This how come
look at lizard people? Look at seraphim.
You were talking about going underground for the flood, right? And then there's like the underground lizard people. Is there any tie into that?
There have been many, many stories, especially from Native Americans here in North America, about giants with the visages of lizards coming out of the earth after some kind of cataclysm and teaching these people different knowledge. So, yeah.
The beast in Revelation is supposed to come out of the ground, and then one's supposed to come out of the water, right? So, I mean, there's something there.
Well,
too.
The one coming out of the water.
You tell me, Reinhardt. You know more about this than I do.
The one coming out of the water, it's Leviathan. It's the Chaos Dragon, who is a Hydra, and it's told in the Bible that it's a Hydra. He crushed the heads of Leviathan. He had apparently 7 heads, at least.
Yeah,
crushed the heads of the Hydra, and guess what? Our world, our perception of time. See, we as humans can't exist outside of time. We exist in time, in order, right? We were not able to exist in order and time while chaos ascended through the deep. Chaos being Tiamat, Leviathan, Ram in the Canaanite religion. So God destroyed chaos, destroyed Leviathan, Tiamat. That's the ultimate chaos Kampf. Chaos Kampf is a term that everyone wants to go look at and see.
Isn't that the book that Hitler wrote, Chaos Kampf?
No, you're thinking of...
I think it's My Comfy Chair.
You're thinking of Time Cop.
Yeah, Time Cop.
Time Cop.
Where you got to step on the pedal.
Song.
You got to step on the pedal, and then you come out and you shoot, and then you let go of the pedal and you duck down again.
Oh, yeah.
Costs you like 25 cents a round.
I always put coins in both sides and use both guns.
That's cheating
by Michael Crichton, I think? That was before he wrote Jurassic Park.
No,
right?
You're thinking of The Lost World. He wrote that before Jurassic Park, and then he had to backtrack.
So much better.
Jurassic Park.
Michael Clayton, right? Clayton?
No. Timeline by Edgar Rice Burroughs,
starring Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yes, and Christopher Walken.
All right, Reinhardt. We've beat you up enough about this. I hope everybody learned something about the angelic Nephilim, which is the true answer. But for V, I have to give I'm legally obligated to give, by the state of Kansas, I'm legally obligated to give you the alternate versions. One that Reinhardt has already shit all over. The sons of God were the Sethites, the descendants of Seth. And the daughters of men were the Cainites, the descendants of Cain. And the reason why this theory kind of sticks with some people is chapters 4 and 5 talk about Seth and then Cain, and then the descendants of Seth, and so then naturally chapter 6 would be talking about when they talk about the sons of God, the daughters of man. People thought that was what some people think that the translation means just powerful, warlike men, which the Cainites were. Not to be confused with the Canaanites, I don't think. I think they're different people. And then the other alternate theory is ancient kings were the sons of God, and the royal harems that they took were the daughters of men, because back then kings were actually considered divine to some degree, and they think that the sin that was referred to was lust because of these kings that were taking all these
Tom, aren't all daughters of men?
Well, not of white families. I wanted to go to a racist place there, but I'm not going to.
Damn.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Reinhardt. I had a really solid racist joke there.
I mean, when we're talking about the spirits of kings, we're talking about literal Rephaim, which are the spirits of dead King Nephilim.
Right.
So it just goes back into that.
Well, hold on. Let me finish saying here. And if it was the angels that were that were bumping uglies with the humans, then the angels should have been punished, is the argument. But the humans were the ones that were really punished, right?
No.
Well, hold on. Let me finish. Gosh,
sorry.
Good grief. I heard you hooting and grunting and hollering the whole time I was talking. This is from some other guy. I just took the notes. I didn't even write this stuff. Something that was interesting that I thought when I was going through the Hebrew Bible, or the Old Testament written in Hebrew, as I like to call it, the word for Nephilim that's used in Genesis 6:4 and Numbers 13:33, I believe, they use that exact word Nephilim from the Hebrew Giberim, and it's used elsewhere in the Old Testament, a similar root. Used in different ways in a couple passages, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, 1 Samuel, a couple others. But the word that's used it turns out it's a verb. The verb that the root comes from the same root as Nephilim, the noun, but the verb equivalent means to fall or fallen. So that should give a little bit of, should back up your claim a little bit. I say your claim as if I don't also believe it, but it should back up your claim about angelic beings. And the one thing that really made me angry, actually, when I was doing some of the research, was they said that Beni Ha-Elohim was used multiple times in the Old Testament, but when I actually looked at now I don't know if mine was Septuagint or the Masonic text, and that might be where the difference is, but mine didn't actually say the Nephilim or the sons of God or the Beni Ha-Elohim in these other passages in Job and Psalm, 2 passages in Psalm. It actually said angelic beings or heavenly beings. I'm sorry. So it didn't actually use that same word. Now I don't know if I was using a different version than you were, Reinhardt. But go ahead and get whatever you were going to yell at me about. Get it out of your system.
No, just nothing to yell about. But I mean, the term Beni Elohim.
Benihanas.
Benigans.
Elohim.
Yeah, Benigans. Yeah.
Benigans Elohim was only ever used talking about angelic beings or the divine council, as both Gary Wayne and Dr. Michael Heiser have talked about many times. So the only thing you can take from that term is an angelic being, not a human. And as far as, God, what was it you had just said before that?
About what?
About Benihanas or Dracula's?
God's Benigans?
No, before that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Reinhardt,
Oh,
you're
I
gonna
hate
make
when
me
I
open
look
my
at
book
that.
again. I was talking about the fall and fallen. I was talking about Beni Ha-Ha.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so actually, with Nephilim, the singular is a root in Hebrew called Nephilim, which actually connects with Orion, the constellation Orion, as a hunter, which many scholars, Gary Wayne, Michael Heiser, Rob Skiba, have connected with Nimrod as a hunter, being not one who takes from the earth, which God gave, Adam and Eve and their descendants. They were vegetarians, gave to them sustenance from the earth, and the hunter took from the earth. So that's why Abel's sacrifice was more appealing to God, because it was given from God to Abel back to God, right? And Cain was a hunter. Cain was a hunter-gatherer. Abel was vegetarian.
Never mind.
Our original state was as vegetarians. And I hate that because I love meat. But we were only given
you dirty bird.
I seized it. Totally beat me to it.
Fucking Lady Gaga fan.
I was going to say, gay.
The only time we were able to give him meat, we were only able to eat meat was after the flood. Beforehand.
Every time you guys talk about Cain, whenever you guys talk about Cain, for some reason I always want to do
Cain equals Lady Gaga.
I was born into it.
My sacrifice to the Lord.
What does he say? With no survivors.
To offer up this sacrifice with no survivors.
Yeah, with no survivors.
That's an awful big tribute you've got there, Cain. For you.
Yeah, for you. Yeah.
Oh, Cain and his...
That's a very needed tribute you have there, Cain. Yeah. For you.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
V does a killer Bane impression. Like, let's hear it, V. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do it.
I was born into it, molded by it. I was already a man when I saw the light. What's the one where he goes? It was merely blind. Yeah, and he does.
I was only a man when I ate the meat.
He does the crashing this plane with no survivors.
That's my favorite. I like that.
Yeah,
that's a bold thing to say too. Like when you're about to die, make sure you say something like that. Like when they're like, "Was this part of your plan?" Of course.
Yeah.
That way people can like make fun of your voice afterwards. They're like, remember that time that Tom said this? Oh, and he totally died.
Unfortunately, I was born to eat meat.
Does that make you feel in charge?
Yeah.
You feel in charge.
Yeah, that's my favorite right there.
So, what else do we got? Mm-hmm. I think that's it. We're on our final stretch. V, what? I know we didn't ask this, and I think we need to ask it for I mean, we've been doing this show for a long time, and
we have.
We've always talked about penises at some point during the episode, and not a one of us has asked if the Nephilim penis was proportionate to the size of the Nephilim. Like, what are we talking, Reinhardt? I know you looked into this.
That's not a baby arm. That's like a full-on arm right there.
It's got to be.
We're talking
thick.
You know what?
Like 22-inch arms, like Hulk Hogan, brother.
Remember the whale? I don't know
if you can hear this, but I mean, I'm talking like just freaking thud on the table.
Are you doing that? Are you doing this, Reinhardt? Are you like leaning back in your chair, like doing this number? Like, I'm talking. Like,
yeah.
This, like doing the girth thing.
I slapped it on my Genesis 6 conspiracy book. I mean, 900 something pages, and I'm just slapping my arm down, just
rolling it up until like you're gonna swat a fly or whatever, but you're doing it with your 900-page book, just rolling it up.
You know what? I'm going like elephant style.
You think it was like elephant-sized dick?
I mean, we're okay. First run, we're talking 20 to 40 feet.
No, remember we talked about whale dick? Whales have the biggest dick in the animal kingdom.
They do. You know what the whale's dick is called? It's actually called a dork, in case you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, we talked about that too.
Yeah.
Dork.
So did the Nephilim have dork-sized dicks? Did they have giant dorks?
I mean, they killed the women that they birthed the giants from. I'll tell you that. Like I said, it's more like a chest burster out of the vagina than anything else. I mean, it would kill the woman. It would. There were actually several sources that tell us that it would kill the woman. That it was a religious rite that they were chosen for, and they were proud to be chosen for, because of course, why not? And
I'm sure they had a thing for big dicks too, probably.
Well, the angels didn't have. They didn't have. The angels didn't. They just had regular sized dicks, right? I mean, well, no. Let's take it back. I take my statement back just now, because if you're taking the form, if you have the ability, right, to take the form of a human being, and you are an angel taking the form of a human being with the sole intent of banging gash, right? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, gash. Yeah.
If you're trying to get in there and just, lay some pipe and some human daughters of men, would you not take the form of a man with a giant dick?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going Tommy Gunn.
They apparently took
dick, man.
Yeah, they apparently took very attractive forms, but they couldn't control the forms that their sons would take. They would take their father's original forms, which was a viper, a snake, which is where you get all the serpent imagery from. Serpent fathers, you get, God, everything from, what's his name in Mayan mythology? It's,
I don't know Mayan mythology. I'm a little...
Oh,
Dracula? Dracula?
I don't think it's Dracula. Not this time.
Oh my God. Normally, every night, I would have this pulled up. But it's, Teotihuacan.
Nahana Jabad. Not gonna work. That's what I keep thinking that every time he says all the Sumerian names. Yeah, not gonna work here anymore anyway. Remember that?
I do. I remember it fondly.
Oh, Quetzalcoatl.
You know what? And I did know that one. I have that one written down. He's the eagle-looking guy, right? The kind of guy that looks like...
the winged serpent.
And the dude from Scrubs.
Yeah, that guy.
No,
he's actually the guy that looks like Kotal Khan, remember, from Mortal Kombat? The new ones?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he does. Good call.
Wait, Kotal Khan or Kotu Khan from Ghost of Tsushima?
I haven't gotten that far yet. No spoilers.
Yeah, me neither.
Hey, so I actually found a picture. I actually found a picture of the Nephilim penis. It's all serpent-like.
Dude, I don't want my search history to come up on my FBI handler.
You know what?
Nephilim penis.
I actually looked up. What I did was I looked up a snake penis because because I thought snake penis. I thought I would get a picture of what a snake's penis would look like, so I could be like, well, it takes its original form. I assumed it would look like a snake's penis, but this is actually a penis snake. It's a type of snake that looks like a penis. And
guess what? And guess what?
I don't even know.
So, do you know Arthur Pendragon?
That's also an uncanny image of my penis too, brother.
Arthur Pendragon.
All uncircumcised, lying on the pavement.
Pendragon family of Arthurian mythology. Guess what Pendragon means? Pendar Draco, penis of the dragon, and the penis is a symbol of authority, a symbol of power.
Yeah, like on Workaholics. Remember when Daniel Stern puts his wiener on the table?
Whip your dicks out, yeah.
God.
So to wrap this up, because we're at the last minute, and this is the most important question. Mm-hmm. Guys, I really need to know, is it gay to like Lady Gaga's music? No. Is it gay? We'll take, you already told me, I know. I'm just I'm hoping that you've come around, right? Maybe like you're like sympathetic to my plight here.
Well,
you know
it's
what?
Only kind of gay.
It's a little gay. Is it gay to have sex with the Nephilim? Would it have been gay to do that? But more importantly, is it comparable? Like like we're talking succubus, right? If you have a succubus come visit you, it's a female demon, right? She comes, and then you come right into her, and then she turns into a guy demon, and then goes and bangs a chick, a regular human, a daughter of man, right? She goes and bangs a regular lady person, and technically that was like a transgender interaction right there that you had.
That's
so
exactly what happened.
So is that gay, Reinhardt? V needs to know because he had a weird situation the other night.
It's beyond the spectrum of human sexuality. If they can turn from asexual or non-sexual,
pansexual, I think,
demonic being, pansexual demonic being into a female, and then get banged and then change at will into a male, no, it's not gay because it has no bearing on the human spectrum of sexuality.
You say
it's far beyond that.
You say that, and maybe that's true for them, but like then you go after it turns into a dude, you're never gonna not think, was that a dude?
Exactly.
Like you're always gonna wonder.
That is very true.
Then because we live in that spectrum of sexuality, right? But is this not an argument for transgenderism?
Yeah, that's my
Reinhardt.
point,
Aren't you making an argument for the transgender LGBTQ community by saying that it's okay
because these beings
gotta add that
beings aren't human.
Always.
These beings are not human. They can do whatever they want to manipulate dimensions that we have no power over. We as humans don't have the power to manipulate dimensions. These beings do. And we can't put a name on that. We can't put a sexuality on that, unfortunately. It's really weird, but we just can't perceive it. So I'd say, no, it's not gay.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because gay doesn't mean anything to these people. Gay only means something to us. Unfortunately. It's weird. It's freaking disgusting and weird. I'll call it that.
So, Reinhardt, as we close out, go ahead and shill all your Nephilim penis gear again.
Yeah.
Well, okay. If you want cold takes and a lot of Nephilim posting, you can find me at Hotel Razor Gang. That's HOTELRAZORGANG. Just inside joke. Sorry, guys. You can find me there. God, I post as much as I can on Twitter with my schedule. I'll be on there more. Paranormies Present. We don't really have a Twitter right now because Johnny keeps getting banned. So Dogbot, find him at Dogbot5. And Jack the Intern should be at Jack the Intern 14. As far as other stuff, I think our website is just theparanormiespresent.com, and there's a tag mark in between every word. You can find us there. We will have merch up soon. But yeah, I'm trying to post more threads, more knowledge. Honestly, it's kind of sad because I post more threads in the past couple of weeks and I found no response. And I find memes and I post them and they're stale and I get like 70 likes. So, man,
people are. What does he do on the interview where he's like ganja? Give us more garbage.
If you want me to post more threads, go look through a couple things my last couple of weeks, like them, share them, whatever. Message me. I will always respond to you. Always respond. So I'll be posting some threads, Nephilim stuff, Nephilim adjacent. I'm be talking about Tuatha De Danann, who are the Elven Nephilim conquerors of Ireland, which we didn't even get to. I kind of wanted to get to that, but no. I mean, it's a totally different subject. I deal a lot with Western Europe and their Nephilim origins. So if you want to know more, go there. Look at what I post now, and just message me, because I always have resources to give to you. I seriously, I want you guys to look for yourself and come up with your own theories. Give them to me. Let me know, because I could be wrong. You could be wrong. We can discuss things and come up with all new ideas. That's why I'm so glad I'm here with Tom V. We all three have different experiences with this stuff that we're able to kind of add to each other and talk about. So that's what's important, is really community and discussing our theories.
Right
So
on.
just come find me, ask me my stuff, and just, yeah, I'm glad to be here.
That's what we do on this show, is we just give them a taste and we make them do all the legwork themselves. V, what do you got? What do you got?
Thanks for showing up, guys. You know, we love you. We love you, our fans. You guys are the best ever. Don't forget to join us next week for our show that we don't know what it's going to be about yet. But again, we're always open to ideas, so feel free to shoot us a thing. Buy our merch, pick up the shirts. Nobody's gotten the J-Rab or the Wayfair shirt.
I wonder
No,
why.
I don't think anybody's going to buy the Wayfair shirt. I know the J-Rab one, I was thinking, that one probably no one's going to really like that one either, because it looks like it might be kind of racist. It looks kind of like maybe we're demonizing Arabs.
Wait, racist T-shirt? Yeah. Search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for joining us. You know, eat a dick or whatever.
Yeah. To blowing Nephilim serpent penises.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, guys, for coming out. I'm not going to sit here and suck your dick off because V actually already did that just now. But hey, thanks for coming out. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being lively in the chat. We'll have something cool for you next week to make up for this week. Is Reinhardt still in the? Is he still in the? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were here. No. Thank you, Reinhardt, for coming on and talking about Nephilim. I could have had you here all night asking you questions about stuff, because frankly, you know, all that stuff, that Genesis stuff is like, here's a funny story real quick. I, for the longest time, just assumed that I got onto this kick where Genesis was largely, almost entirely allegorical. And that's what I was telling people. I thought, hey, it's allegorical. Don't sit here and read too much into it. It's a story just to kind of, cater to the people of the time or whatever. But I had a dream not too long ago. I mean, this is like a couple weeks ago, where I was chastised by an angel for believing that. And you guys know, based off of the You Had Me at Nightmares episode, I don't dream because I take that medication. So when I do dream, it's always something really weird and something really memorable. And in this dream, an angel came to me and chastised, like really laid into me for believing that Genesis, and telling people that Genesis was largely allegorical and you don't need to bother with it because it's essentially meaningless to sit there and read into it and believe it as it is. So now I have to rework in my own memory and my own thought process how Genesis can actually be a literal story and a literal work in the Old Testament. So yeah,
Tom, I will tell you this solely because I love that you came to that realization, or that you had that dream. Go look at Chuck Missler, and rest in peace to him. I mean, he died, I think it was 2 years ago now, but he seriously convinced me that Genesis was fully literal. 6 days, everything that God truly wrote. And just go look at him. Go look at Koinonia House. That's Koinoina house. That is a New Zealand scriptural society that he started, and he ran till his death. A church, and 6640 was his old podcast that he used to give. But just any of you guys, Tom, and anyone listening, go find him. Because he really does a good job of showing how the Old Testament and Genesis is literal, that there really is no allegory in the Bible. And he's an incredible man to listen to, really. He's a former NASA astrophysicist. So he's not just a biblical scholar. He's not just some dude self-taught like me. I'm self-taught. He has credentials. He's a good man, and provides great information. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. There's your guys' theological discussion for today. As if this whole episode wasn't a whole big theological discussion. Yeah. But there's your guys' Bible lesson as far as like whatever the stuff that you got to look into and do on your own. Thanks again for coming out, and we will see you guys next week.